So why is it that we break commitments? What's going on with that? I think that a lot of us are really overcommitted, and that's a huge reason for why it is that we break commitments. And if I revisit this metaphor for understanding the personality that I talked about with the emotions section of the program, there's this metaphorical inner kid, and the inner kid's governing emotions. When the inner kid is triggered, she's not so happy. Inner kid and inner critic are synonymous at any point when the inner kid is feeling scared, fearful, overworked. The adult is logical, rational, gets it, understands that everybody's doing the best they can, understands that the past is the past, the future is the future. It doesn't make a sense to come up with stories. Adult has that. It's all fine. The higher self, the piece of the self that is the knowing beyond all knowing, it's kind of indescribable. It's that feeling of everything's going to be okay that's beyond logic and reason, because sometimes that feeling descends even in the midst of something really scary happening. So we've got these three parts. Why is it that we break commitments? It's my belief that we break commitments because, first of all, we're scared. That's a huge part of it right there. The fear comes in. The emotions get to be too much. We decide we need to let something go. The thing to let go becomes this new scary thing. We start thinking things like, what's the point? Why do I bother? I don't really want to do this anyway. Everybody's going to think I'm stupid if I do this. I also think that the reason we break commitments is because that inner little kid doesn't feel she has enough protection. If we're not doing enough work to really make sure that the inner kid side of ourselves, and imagine yourself at the age of 10 when you're thinking of this inner kid. She's just been presented with this new responsibility of making a change that she might not feel equipped for. How do we create safety for that part of ourselves so that we can stay the course? How do we create enough of a sense of play so that going to the gym is a fun thing, coming into work is a fun thing, marketing yourself is a fun thing, approaching your partner with a new sense of direction around commitment and relationship and connectedness, it becomes fun. Not like, oh, here we go, I'm going to have to talk to him about this, but instead it being like, how could we make this fun? So there are so many reasons why it is that we break the commitments that we know at the beginning of a journey we want to keep. And I think that it's all of these little pieces coming together. And in particular, the piece to take away is that inner kid piece. Start giving attention to that part of yourself that feels weak and vulnerable, or that might be acting out. It's not most people's impulse to pay attention to that part. Most people's impulses, when they start to feel these things, is either to shut down completely or to white knuckle it through and say, I don't even care that I feel this fear, I'm just going through. Both of those, I think, create more tension in the long run with that inner kid aspect of the self. Because the next time you decide to start something new, the inner kid is even more afraid when the hard times come, when the challenges come, because she's thinking about how last time it was really scary and she just had to keep going through, lashing the whip, keep going, keep moving, or we bailed and remember how guilty or shameful or icky we felt about the fact that we bailed. So it's kind of one of those two. Neither one feels great. And at the end of the day, understanding why it is that we break commitments isn't as important as your willingness to just get present to the moment and stay with what it is you feel moment to moment to moment. You can spend years on a therapist's couch dissecting the whys, looking at early trauma, thinking about the past, connecting it to 5 different important events in your life, and all of that is really valuable work, actually. It's great to know that. But at the end of the day, if you really want to start doing something with the fear that comes up for you around what you commit to, it's about staying present to what you notice and working with it as it comes up. And this is why I started with emotions in this program. Okay, so you start to get fearful as you're on your journey of changing something, transforming something, bringing something into your life. You get fearful and it shows up as sadness. You have tools to work through that sadness. And you know to bring in more joy, because that taps into helping the inner kid through this process. Or let's say that you have anger, irritation, frustration. You have tools to work through that so that now you can move through that piece. And you just stay present to what keeps coming up for you. Courage is feeling the fear, because nobody gets out of that part, diving in anyway, because what are you going to do? Remain stuck? That doesn't feel so great. And transforming. And every single time that you get present to where commitment feels hard, you are meeting that edge of fear and you are transforming.